All right, welcome to the show. This is No Interference. We are your hosts, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. Week 2 of the NFL season is now in the books, so we are just going to bring you our weekly recap and coverage of what is going on. So, do you just want to dive into the topics, or what do you guys want to do?
We got. Call me Michael Phelps.
All right, so first on our board, the Mike Evans suspension. He is getting a 1-game suspension for his altercation with the Saints with pushing. He pushed Lattimore, and then he also got in a fight with Marcus May. So it's kind of business as usual with Mike Evans. Likes to cheap shot people.
They have history too. It goes back years.
Yeah, I think this was more of a history or a what's the word I'm looking for?
It's full rivalry. They're enemies, nemesis.
No, as far as like him getting actually suspended for a push.
Oh well, yeah.
I guess he could have been suspended anyways without the history for essentially inciting a big fight.
He wasn't even on the field. He was off the field. He came off the sidelines.
Yeah. And that's
I thought he was walking off the sideline and took his helmet off.
He had already gotten to the sideline and turned around and came back.
Well, my thing was he was like situation. He was after the game when he was getting interviewed, he was like, "Well, they threw a punch, so I had to defend my team." And I was like, "No one threw a punch until after you came and decked Lattimore." So
yeah, he was protecting his quarterback. That's how he looks at it.
Yeah. Do you believe that the lip reader who said it's Tom Brady? What do you want me to do?
I mean, it does kind of look like he says that, but regardless, like, I don't care who it is. Like, okay, what if?
So you both agree that he should have been suspended 1 game?
I would have been fine with a 3-game suspension, to be honest. What if?
Yeah.
What if in the Lions-Eagles game was a fight breaks out and Aiden Hutchinson decks Jalen Hurts and he falls and breaks his arm on a non-football play?
Points are made.
Well, I think that's circumstantial if there's an injury.
Most of the rules are for circumstances.
I feel like usually when there's no punches thrown, because shoving happens. I know he leveled him. Mike Evans is 6. I have it right here. 6'5", 230, maybe bigger, and Marshawn Lattimore is a pretty small corner, and he came over and shoved him. And a bigger man probably wouldn't have flown off the face of the earth like Marshawn Lattimore did. But
if
I feel like it would have been like a fine.
So
if it was a suspension,
if Vita Vea decks Austin Eckler after the play and hurts Eckler, and you just go, "Well, look how big Vita Vea is. It's not really his fault."
Well, you keep saying they get hurt. Marshawn Lattimore didn't get hurt.
I think the suspension was coming as soon as he took his foot off the sideline and started to run back to the field.
I think as soon as you make an action,
that's the clearest argument for me that he came off the field. I thought he was walking off with the offense and took his helmet off as he was going off. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be suspended, but I was a little surprised that he got suspended over like a hefty fine just because there was no punches thrown.
Yeah, when I saw it, I said fine and then 1-game suspension. That's the same Sunday, and that's just my first gut. It was at least 1 game.
I mean, I'm fine with 1 game, but I'm just saying, like, if it was more, I wouldn't have batted an eye.
Yeah,
no sweat off my back if it was more, but
yeah, I mean,
he's a vet too, and he was better. He's been in the league for years.
Yeah, and I will say that it looked like from the replay, it was like a mutual instigation between Tom Brady and whoever, I guess.
Well,
Lattimore.
Tom Brady always runs his mouth at defenders.
He does.
Yeah. So when Mike Evans said, "It's Tom Brady, what do you want me to do?" I am all for like players defending the quarterback, even though any teammate should be defended by teammates, of course. But usually, quarterbacks are a little less athletic and in a defenseless position sometimes.
If
But
I
Tom
felt
Brady is one of the bigger trash talkers on the field, I would say.
if I felt Tom Brady needed to be defended, I could maybe convince myself. But Mike Evans literally had no reason to come over and do what he did.
Yeah. Fair enough. I have no re-argument.
No qualms.
Rebuttal.
No rebuttals.
No qualms. No rebuttals.
No
Alrighty.
qualms.
Well, on to our second topic of the day. Let me see if I can do this on the first try. Tua Tagovailoa drops 6 TDs on the Baltimore Ravens.
The comeback, too. That's the best part.
He is on pace to shatter the passing record. I know it's just 2 weeks, but he is on pace to shatter the passing record.
That's what happens when you get Tyreek Hill.
And Jalen Waddle.
Yeah, Waddle.
And not to be understated, Mike Gesicki's
his fucking touchdown.
15-foot catch.
Yeah, the way he got his feet in the back of the end zone was purdy.
That was one of the most impressive throws of the day for me from Tua.
Yeah, a lot of them were just not to take away from Tua, but they were throws any NFL quarterback can make, and then the plays after the catch. Waddle and Hill making a lot of plays.
I mean, the throw at the end of the game was impressive. To Waddle to win the game, he was rolling out to his left, which is a lefty, so it's natural. But he threw it high. It was a little inaccurate, I thought, but maybe he placed it there. But only Jalen Waddle could have made a play on it, and he did.
And then he seems to be doing and trending.
Yeah, and then the play to Gesicki, that was a really good pass because they were like 20 yards out, something like that. And there were Ravens in front of him in the end zone. So the only place to throw it was high and get that nice velocity with the loft to the back of the end zone, and he did. And those are the types of throws where you have to rely on your players to make the play, but they're like perfect passes.
I just come to the fact that it was 35-14 going into the fourth quarter, and the Ravens lost.
Oh, it was definitely a meltdown from the Ravens.
And I will still stay. I know the Dolphins won, and a lot of things weren't going right. Until late in the fourth quarter, Xavian Howard was playing like garbage.
Yeah, I mean, Lamar Jackson was picking him apart for the most part.
Yeah, Bateman had a catch off a slant, took it for a touchdown.
And then you see, first of all, Howard looks like he was jogging half the time. And then when Bateman finally snaps upfield for the last 5 yards to get in the end zone, Howard was literally side by side with him, and he just stopped and watched him get across the plane.
Yeah. I mean,
however, like I said, lots of things didn't go their way, but he looked like he wasn't even trying.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, it's just crazy by how the fourth quarter changed the whole outlook of the game. I mean, the Dolphins outpossessed them 34-25. They had 15 more plays. They ended up having they had 75 more yards. And it's funny, the Dolphins had 8 penalties to the Ravens, only 1. So kind of sometimes penalties get teams back in games. But, going into the third quarter, if the game had finished before the fourth quarter started, all week people would be talking about how good of a game Lamar had because he had a really good game.
He did.
He threw the ball well. He had, first player in NFL history with a 75-yard rushing touchdown and throwing touchdown.
Yep.
He passed Vic on the most 100-yard games rushing.
Yep.
Yeah, he looked like 20. Not that he ever didn't look the same, but it looked like 2019 Lamar Jackson, a type of game he would have then. But a little worrisome for the Ravens because it looked like last year, where if Lamar doesn't have an amazing game, if there's no run game really besides Lamar, and their defense was horrible, especially at the end of the game.
Yeah, they need to. Their rookie safety first-round pick, Hamilton, he needs to either not be playing or he needs to be in the box.
Kyle Hamilton? Yeah.
Yeah,
Are
because you
they?
saw.
I haven't watched a ton of film on him. Is he not? Is he playing primarily like deep safety or something?
I think they move him around, but he's not playing. I don't know his rating off the top of my head, but it can't be good. I think he had a few missed tackles against the Jets, and then the Dolphins. Their last touchdown to make it a 1-score game. You see the corner, Armin Davis. He's in like a flat zone coverage. He lets Hill or Waddle, I can't remember which one at that point, run right past him. And then there's no safety there. And then you see Hamilton is like arguing with Armin Davis, like pointing at him, like, oh, what did you do? Blah, blah. And then Marcus Williams runs up and grabs Hamilton and starts pointing at him, like, no, that was your spot. You blew the coverage.
Yeah. I mean, I want to give him the benefit. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt just because, it's a second career NFL game. But
if it's supposed to be like a cover 2 look and you're nowhere near the back.
I mean it's definitely his fault, and that is a problem. But I don't think they shouldn't play him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, trial by fire, I guess. The other thing is they got rid of Wink Martindale, right? Because their defense was atrocious last year.
Mm-hmm.
They bring in what's his name, McDonald?
Yes,
from Michigan. Defense looks pretty much just outside of getting a bunch of fumbles against the Jets in Week 1. The defense looks pretty much just as bad. Also, Marcus Williams is balling out for him.
Wait a minute.
3 picks in 2 games.
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to verify something. I got confused. Go ahead.
No worries. And then they have no pass rush at all.
No.
Where's the rookie from last year?
Odafe, yeah, nowhere to be seen. And then Justin Houston got a sack on Tua early in the game, but when they showed the replay, the left tackle didn't even block him. The left tackle let him run right by, so it was just a free rusher because it was just a bad play by the O-line. But yeah, like you said, Trevor, it looks like last year where Lamar Jackson has to do his like Superman show, and even then they're going to lose.
Yeah, and I mean, that just can't happen. I mean, last year was one thing with all the injuries. And
the worst part is their run defense isn't good, and their pass defense as of right now might be worse.
Yeah, they definitely have. They have some screws to tighten for sure.
On the flip side, Rashad Bateman looks really good.
He does. He's taking over that number 1 role.
Mark Andrews is still one of the best tight ends in the league.
That drop blew my mind though. It was only 1, but still.
And then Lamar Jackson is still Lamar Jackson. But I think we got a little off topic because we're supposed to be talking about Tua.
Whatever. Talking about the game.
Well, I guess what I want to say was this more a collapse or the Dolphins clicking on all gears?
I lean more towards a Ravens defensive collapse. At the same time, it's still Tyreek Hill.
I think you have to, in a situation so polarizing as this outcome in that fourth quarter, it's both. I mean, he threw 6 touchdowns. They scored, 28 points in the fourth quarter?
Yep.
And, I mean, yes, the defense has to collapse, but you still have to click on offense. Yes, some of the throws, like Tyreek's bomb, most NFL quarterbacks should make that throw, but there were definitely other plays that needed to be made, whether they were throws or broken tackles or tough catches, and on the defensive side of the ball.
I'll say this. Even if it was mainly as a collapse by the Ravens, similar to their early season collapse against the Titans 2 years ago, when the Titans had a comeback, forced overtime and then won. Mm-hmm. The Dolphins, I still think put the league on notice. Goes back to my Deshaun Jackson theory. If you have someone that is a good receiver and has elite speed, you force the defense to play a specific way, and then you have 2 of them on the outside. So the defense is either forced to either play super aggressive and be good, or play super safe and then hamstring the rest of their team. So I think what we're going to see eventually is the Dolphins' run game start to looking really good. But as soon as you fall asleep, 80-yard touchdown.
Another thing too, if you go back and look at some of their pre-snap formations, that's some fancy stuff Mike McDaniel's doing.
Well, yeah, he did.
Yeah.
He was the run game coordinator for the Niners the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's definitely there.
But
Chase Edmonds did all right, didn't he? Finally,
he had a 30-yard rush, which changed his whole stat line.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested. I think all three of us agree that Tua is a little bit of a noodle arm.
Yeah, I mean, you still saw some of those noodle throws too, but they still,
He doesn't have a strong arm. Everyone knows that, but I mean, maybe Tyreek Hill is. I don't want to say he's better than everyone thought. Everyone knows Tyreek Hill's good, but I guess I underestimated if he can get that wide open. Tua can underthrow him just a little bit, because that's happened in both games this year. I think Tua underthrew him just a little bit, but he beat the coverage so bad.
I think one of Tua's biggest indictments is this might just be me. I feel like he's terrible at scrambling.
Yeah, I don't think he was. I would have to go back and watch. But in Alabama, pre-injury, was he even? He wasn't like,
I just mean like mainly like his movement when the pocket starts to break down. I feel like more often than not he makes the wrong decision.
Yeah, I wouldn't call him an elusive quarterback. I would say he has the athleticism to move around. But yeah, I mean, I would probably agree with you.
Yeah, I'm just saying more so his choices he makes. Yeah, pocket awareness. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe he'll keep this up. He'll end up. You said, right, Trevor, that you said someone's going to throw for 6,000 yards this year. Maybe it's him.
If it ends up being Tua, I don't know. I got to go reevaluate some things. If Tua throws 6,000 yards, somebody else is throwing 7,000.
Heard it here first.
I think I said Justin Herbert was going to throw 6,000.
Well, you know who the top three passes are yards wise.
Yeah, Josh Allen, Wentz.
It's Tua, Wentz, and Joe Flacco.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Only if Wentz gets done in the first half.
Speaking of, sort of like Wentz, a lot of teams have looked very disappointing to start the year. Most of all, maybe the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes.
I think a lot of people mentioned
for a win.
I think a lot of people mentioned possible Super Bowl hangover. I don't know if anybody saw this. First, they lose to the somewhat struggling Steelers in Week 1, and then in Week 2 they lose to the Dak Prescott-less Cowboys. Joe Burrow, he's on pace to be sacked like 100 times this year. And they spent $70 million on their O-line this offseason.
He's been sacked 13 times. And he's pressured on, what is it? It's like something crazy, like 40% of his dropbacks or something like that.
So I haven't done a ton of studying, but I was listening to some other guys that do coverage. And they're saying that La'el Collins is like unplayable right now.
Really?
Like, if it wasn't for the fact that they paid him however much they paid him, I'm gonna look that up real quick. That like he should not be anywhere near a football field.
So obviously, different websites put together their ratings in different ways, but according to PFF, La'el Collins is second worst on the Bengals team, not starters, team, including halfbacks, in pass blocking rating at 43. And let's see here.
Yeah, he's making $8 million this year.
Yeah, he's given up
3-year, $21 million contract.
Yeah, I mean he was probably a little overrated with the Cowboys because he was drafted undrafted, right?
Yeah.
He signed with the Cowboys right in the midst of like their dominant offensive line play. And I know sometimes offensive linemen can be put on an island, so it's hard to cover up one bad offensive lineman, but I mean he was seen as a steal for being undrafted with Dallas for a couple of years, and now the Bengals just don't have a good offensive line, and I just feel bad for Joe Burrow.
What do you think, RJ? If you could fix one thing on the Bengals, what would it be?
Definitely the offensive line. I mean, Joe Burrow's getting just the amount of pressure in general.
Do you think his penchant for trying to go for the home run ball is also similar to like a younger Ben Roethlisberger when they still doesn't have a good O line, but he was still holding onto the ball, and then.
Well, if you have Jamar Chase, it's hard not to. The urge, I feel like, would always be there to find him down the field somewhere because he makes miraculous plays happen.
Well, similar to last year, the Bengals once again are leading the league in empty sets with a terrible O line.
Yeah, because you have Boyd, Higgins, and Jamar
Joe
Chase.
Mixon's a good receiver too.
Yeah, it's hard not to. But if you need to slide somebody back extra for coverage, for protection, you probably should. At least somebody to chip off somebody so he can make that step up and sling it.
Yeah, their snap or their rushing attempts is very odd. I know Joe Mixon's like a bell cow running back, but he has 46 attempts, and then Joe Burrow's second on the team with 2 attempts, and he's 2 for 73 yards. Joe Mixon only has 3 yards per attempt. So, I mean, they're just not their offensive line can't pass block, can't run block. They're not running the ball well. Joe Burrow's getting sacked all the time. He's turning the ball over.
Do you think they maybe came into this season drinking their own Kool-Aid a little bit?
I don't remember hearing too much from them during the off season. I may have just I just may have missed it. As you mentioned, and RJ mentioned they might be thinking they were 10-7 last year. They weren't world beaters. They caught fire at the end of the year. Jamar Chase had an amazing rookie season. Their offense was prolific at times, and everyone was claiming Joe Burrow as the next great quarterback, and it seems like we get them every year now. And maybe they were just riding that into this season without making the proper improvements.
They try to overhaul the offensive line in the offseason, but it doesn't seem like they did enough.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I still obviously they made the right decision drafting Jamar Chase because he's playing so well. You can't fault them for that because I know people were saying, I don't remember which offensive line it was.
Yep.
And it's
hard to argue. He's obviously a beast, but it's hard to argue they made the wrong choice.
Well, after Jamar Chase got Offensive Rookie of the Year, it was definitely even harder to argue. But I was definitely a person that said they should have picked an offensive lineman at least earlier on.
Yeah, I'm not some sort of philosophizer, but I would have gone build the trenches up.
Yeah, but I get the whole connection between Burrow and Chase, and you've seen it work. You've seen it. It's proof is in the pudding. But yet again, Joe Burrow still has the same issues with why they lost the Super Bowl. He's getting hit too much. There's too much pressure.
It's just I'm a really big Joe Burrow fan. Hate the Bengals, but I'm a big Joe Burrow fan. But I mean, just look at history. David Carr, he's remembered as being a bum, but he was actually a very good quarterback, just no O-line. Andrew Luck, very good quarterback.
Retired because of shoulder injuries caused by.
Yeah, got hit too much, got banged up, and retired, and now
retired early.
I don't.
They also have. Sorry, I was just going through some of their team stats. They have 2 sacks on the year.
And remember, their defensive line last year is one of the parts that carried them. Hubbard, and then the other guy, I can't remember his name.
Trey Hendrickson played really well.
I don't know why I said that. Yeah, Hendrickson and somebody else. Sorry with
they got DJ Reader, Trey Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, BJ Hill.
They lost to the
Steelers.
Yeah, they lost to the Steelers, which they could have won. It was just an embarrassing game. Yeah, and their offense was atrocious.
And then Cooper Rush comes fucking lighting it up. Dak couldn't even score a touchdown until he got hurt into the fourth quarter. They played the whole game, couldn't score a fucking touchdown. And Cooper Rush is moving the ball down the field like fucking cakewalk.
Yeah, but even in that game, they scored. The defense only gave up 20 points, which that's good. It's just the offense scored 17, and that still took, like you said, Rush to go down the field with one timeout and how much time was left to get a game-winning field goal. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, for as bad as they're playing, they could be 2-0.
Yeah.
Do we give them a benefit of the doubt with their O-line? Because week 1, they were basically wrecked by TJ Watt, and week 2, they were wrecked by Micah Parsons.
No. Unless they play... If they go against... Who do they have this week? If they start going up against lesser pass rushers and it changes like 180, then I'll look back and be like, okay, maybe that was the reason. But...
This week they have the Jets.
So we'll see. I mean, if they go against the Jets and they win 35-3 and Joe Burrow doesn't get sacked or turn the ball over, maybe I'll be like, okay, maybe Mike Parsons and TJ Watt are the best players in the NFL.
They lost to the Jets last year with Mike White. So.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, though. I did tell somebody they're doing a suicide league. I said, pick the Bengals this week. They're going to get a fucking win. They need a win. They're hungry for a win. They're going to roll over the Jets. I strongly believe they will roll over the Jets. The Jets, they good against Cleveland. Joe Flacco had 4 touchdowns. Yada, yada, yada. This is the Bengals surefire win.
Yeah, I think they need to... You both mentioned their offense. I think if they make a few adjustments and hopefully the offensive line plays better, maybe get to like a... I know it's hard to change the offense in the beginning of the year. I'm not saying to do that, but I don't know. Maybe try to lean a little bit more on the run and stick with it and get quicker passes off. Because the last thing, just try to save Joe Burrow. He's the only thing that matters, essentially.
Agreed.
I know it's against their team makeup, but like you said, go to a little bit heavier packages, bring out running backs, bring out tight ends. You have one of the better receiving cores in the league. You don't have to be throwing bombs away every play. Jamar Chase can pop a slant from anywhere in the field for a touchdown. T. Higgins is one of the better one-on-one catchers in the league, and then Tyler Boyd is a veteran slot receiver who has a knack for getting open. Hopefully they just need to calm down, take a second to reevaluate themselves, catch their breath, and they'll turn it back on, because this is a very talented young team, and it would suck if they somehow start the season 0-4 and then their season's over before it really ever gets started.
Absolutely.
On the flip side, another team that's struggling, a lot of teams are struggling, but we're focusing on 2 today. The Indianapolis Colts, 0-1-1, tied with the Texans. And they got goose egged by the Jags. I think if any coach is on the hot seat, it's Frank Wright. I think his seat is maybe not on fire, but it's starting to smoke up a little bit.
That's a fair assessment.
Because some people were not believing the Matt Ryan hype train, while others were jumping on board. Now
I got my life vest on and I'm floating in the middle of the ocean. That's all I gotta say.
Matt Ryan is not the answer for now. It's still very early, though. It's very early.
Well, I think most people could agree the defense was hopefully going to be able to help the team a lot.
Has Darius Slay not even played yet this season?
No.
Exactly.
But but it's just one guy. I mean, and I know he's good, but
That's a playmaking guy.
But the defenses look bad. It's not like, oh, they're okay and he'll come back. They look bad.
I've heard Kenny Moore name get brought up once.
But it's the same thing. It's Jonathan Taylor, who Frank Wright goes stretches without giving him the ball for some reason, and then Michael Pittman. And I know Michael Pittman was out last week, but
yeah, he was hurt.
Regardless, you can roll coverage of Michael Pittman all game and take him out, even if he is out there, and you just take him off. You take him out of the game. I don't know. It's not looking good.
So I don't want to jump ahead here, but this is going to be what I say in this is going to be going into our later segment. But they're going to end up being my letdown of the week and letdown player and team of the week, Matt Ryan in Indianapolis. But
3 picks.
Yeah, I mean, on the defensive side of the ball, they haven't been able to get any pressure, and they've played Houston and Jacksonville. I think we all like Davis Mills, but still Davis Mills, and then Trevor Lawrence. And they both look pretty good against this defense, and they've only forced 1 turnover all year. So, I mean, I think, Taylor, you've mentioned their defense is overrated.
Yeah, it's just not good this year as of right now. It's still early; they can turn it around, but
they've been without Shaq Leonard too.
And I get that, but I mean, they still have Bobby. I always pronounce his name wrong. Bobby Okereke, Gilmore, Kenny Moore, Grover Stewart, Nick Cross, the rookie from Maryland. I think he's okay. They still got DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye, Yannick Ngakoue, Julian Blackmon.
Julian Blackmon was on fire his rookie year too. He was talked about a lot.
They still have players, so I don't think bringing Shaq is going to change things.
I don't think it's going to fix it, but
when he started going by Shaquille, I thought it's always been Darius.
This offseason, this is
what he's always.
It's what he's always gone by. But I guess the NFL, it's his. I guess his real name's Darius Shaquille Leonard, but he goes by Shaquille.
Yeah.
But
I thought it was Shaquille Darius.
That's what I thought to say. Yeah, but either way.
Well, quick Google machine will fix this.
That's what I googled, and it does say on his page, it says Shaquille Leonard.
Yeah, but I mean, they had issues with pass rush last year, if I remember correctly. I hope I'm not wrong about that. I'm pretty sure I'm right when I was doing my research. But the defense isn't the main issue. They're Taylor, you mentioned Pittman a little bit. He's their only weapon on the outside. I had this pulled up, but now I lost it.
Yeah, I'll give you guys $1 each if you can tell me who the Colts' second receiver is.
Alec Pierce.
But he just had over 100 yards.
No, it's not Alec Pierce.
No, not Alec Pierce. It's
Is it? I know it is. It's Paris Campbell.
Nope.
Fuck.
Ashton Doolin.
Yep. Leading receiver or on the depth chart?
No, just their second receiver.
Oh, yeah. Never heard of that guy. No sense, buddy. Good luck in your career.
He had 5 catches for 79 yards last week. It's not bad. But the main issue has been Matt Ryan, and I feel bad.
At this pace, Matt Ryan's going to pass Carson Wentz's turnover total by week 4.
Hey, Carson Wentz should only have 2 picks right now, by the way. 2 Logan Thomas got him that 3rd pick. Just saying.
Yeah. I mean, Matt Ryan's been a statue in the pocket. I'm not saying he's always been, not a mobile guy, but he can move. Quarterbacks can move when they need to. He's fumbled the ball 4 times. He's fumbled the ball 5 times. He's thrown 4 interceptions. He only has 1 touchdown. Michael Pittman was out And if you I tell anyone to go look at they laid a goose egg against the Jaguars. Go look at the play by play. It's like 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. It's like third down sack after third down sack. And then Matt Ryan throws picks here and there.
Jonathan Taylor only had like 6 or 7 carries until like halfway through the fourth quarter.
That's not good. You need him to start off the game strong in the run game, especially with a back like that.
Taylor, you said it. I mean, load the box and shadow Michael Pittman's side. What else do you have to worry about? Hines getting 8 catches for 8 yards, or Ashton Doolin getting 5 catches for 80 yards, and that's against Houston and Jacksonville. That's 2 division losses right off the bat. It's not going to get any easier, and I'm just so wrong.
You can't hit them all.
They're making you doubt yourself.
Yeah, I thought Matt Ryan could still play efficiently, and I thought it was a good pickup, but it's just not there. And maybe like Taylor, you said, Frank Reich, he's just a little stale. He's no longer a well-seasoned coach.
I will say, working with a Colts fan for the last 2 seasons, he's been saying that Frank Reich is not a good coach.
Yeah, I mean, who looks good now? Doug Peterson. Everybody was saying Doug Peterson was nothing without Frank Reich in Philly after he left, and somebody may have
Carson
done the
Wentz.
last time.
Yeah, I of course I'm a Titans fan, so I could care less if the Colts win a single game this year, but I'm not a fan of talented young running backs wasting their career either.
I mean, they only got like 3 years anyways for the most part.
Exactly, so don't waste it.
I mean, yeah,
I'll be honest, if I had a stud running back after his rookie year, I would be like, listen, I'm going to float you $10 million, and we're going to put you on this. We're going to stash you. We're going to stash you.
Then when they're ready to play, they're going to be rusty. First hit, they turn into dust.
So hit the gym.
GoPro at all times, and you see it running every day.
I'm going to say hit the gym, save your legs, and then as long as we pop off your 3rd or 4th year, I'll have a written thing that I'll give you a $50 million contract.
Aside from that crazy idea, is the Colts season, who's more in jeopardy as of now, or either of their seasons over, Colts, Bengals?
I would say, truthfully, neither, because the AFC South sucks and the AFC North doesn't look like it's going to be like that difficult either.
I would say it's definitely the Colts are looking like their season could be over already, which is weird to say after 2 weeks. But I just don't have any confidence in
If
Matt
the
Ryan
question
now.
is who has the best chance to turn it around, it's definitely the Bengals.
I agree.
But the Colts could go easily 9 wins and win the AFC South if they somehow put it together.
I don't know how they're going to get 9 wins.
Fair enough.
We'll see, I suppose.
All right. Any other hot topics y'all wanted to go into today?
All I gotta say is NFL young boy.
So he made a nice catch.
It's a beautiful catch. You're a Pickens fan.
Listen. Nice catches are a dime a dozen. Get some TDs.
What if he doesn't want to gain weight?
All right, so we're going to move on to our pick'ems.
Yep.
What were you saying, Trevor? Who you got?
Well, I mean, if you want me to start with my letdown of the week.
Well, no, MVPs first, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. My MVP of week 2 was somebody we already talked about, and Tua.
What's his last name?
Not going to try it. Practiced 20 times before we started. I couldn't do it right now.
Just call him TT.
No, I'm not going to do it. He deserves better than that after having a good day. But yeah, he threw 6 touchdowns. He brought him back 28 points in the fourth quarter. I know you have to play well for 4 quarters, but in the NFL, a win's a win, and it doesn't matter how you get it done as long as you get it done.
Comeback,
though. Sound like a
the
broken
comeback,
record because I
that's
said some
21
of this.
points. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, but he displayed accuracy. He showed enough arm strength to hit Tyreek Hill downfield. He showed his strength with ball placement and anticipation. You saw that on a few throws. I thought that the touchdown pass to Gesicki and the touchdown pass to Jalen Waddle at the end of the game were both really good throws. Under pressure too. Just overall a good performance. A lot of people were, including us, were doubting him when they signed Tyreek Hill and if he had the arm strength to make that offense click with Mike McDaniel and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. But I mean, through 2 weeks, he looked decent against New England, and then he popped off against Baltimore. It's hard to not give somebody who threw 6 touchdowns MVP of the week.
Can't argue. Great game, great comeback, very entertaining to watch. He took what was there, made the right throws, got the W at the end of the day.
Yep, that's what happened. That's why I picked him.
RJ, who's your MVP?
This isn't fantasy related though. We're doing fantasy stuff too.
That is later. Follow the curriculum.
Making sure because I'm gonna bring up 2 people for the same thing or 2 different things. Jay, I'm going same team, different player. Jalen Waddle.
He was balling.
MVP of the week.
Balling. Big balling. Yep. 11 receptions, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. Beast mode.
I mean, you give me 11.
Tyreek Hill if you wanted to.
You give me 11 receptions, I can make some plays too out there.
Tyreek Hill went fucking 11 to 13. He had 13 targets, 11 receptions. Ridiculous.
Yeah, but I would say with Jalen Waddle,
2 touchdowns.
What was most impressive to me was the types of catches. Like he was fighting for some of those catches and making very tough contested.
He's so shifty after the catch too. He can make moves with his legs. He's not as fast as Tyreek, obviously, but give him the ball in open space, it's hard to bring him down.
Yeah, that's what he did whole career in Alabama. Made plays, a lot of agility there, and he's pretty strong for his size. Tough hands, which he displayed on that last touchdown catch, going up in the air with the corner all over him.
Mm-hmm. Contested catch made it anyway.
Yeah, game on the line. Tua throws him the jump ball, and he gets it. So going to my MVP of the week, it is none other than Darius Slay.
Nice choice.
He on the year he has a 1 second. On the year, just for the season in total, he has a 87 coverage grade per Pro Football Focus. He was locking up Justin Jefferson for most of the game this week. Justin Jefferson in total was held to 48 yards, but Slay had 2 interceptions, could have been 4. He had 5 pass breakups in this game. If you look at the end of the year, like most of the good defensive backs in the league are shooting for above 12, I believe. Yeah, I think anything above 12 is considered exceptional for pass breakups, and he had 5 in one game on arguably the best receiver in the league. It was impressive to watch. Once we got to the second half of the game, I was literally just watching. I was just looking for him, and if he was on Justin Jefferson, I was just watching Because Kirk Cousins was going to throw the ball to his go-to guy. It's what he's been doing so far this year.
Nothing against Slay, but Kirk was fucking awful.
Oh, the last interception?
Yeah.
Well, the last interception, the play before it, it should have been an interception, and Darius Slay, I think, dropped it. And then I was like, that was a god-awful throw. The next play, Kirk Cousins does the exact same thing, and Slay high points it and gets it.
One of his worst performances ever in prime time. In general, he hasn't been the best in prime time, but he's been better over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
We were just talking about the Vikings being legit. I mean, not that they're not, but that is not.
I was saying they were one of my favorite teams. But we also when we were doing our predictions, we had the Eagles as the best team in the NFC.
We gave them that record for a reason, eh?
So
I still think I should have put a stack down. Y'all win the division. I still might. God damn it.
I mean, you still have time. But, Darius Slay, MVP of week 2. If he keeps it up, he might be getting some hardware at the end of the year. It would be nice to see a defensive back get that.
I'd be happy about that.
They call him Big Play Slay for a reason, right?
I saw an article yesterday about how much Lions fans are still mad at Patricia for getting rid of him.
Well, yeah, because they got rid of him and they drafted Jeff Okudah, who is
injury bug
and not good. All right, letdown of the week. Remember, this can be a player, team, whatever you're mad about. Take it away, Sasquatch.
Mine's going to be short and sweet because I've said it twice now. Is in the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah,
you never want to forget them.
Indianapolis. Matt Ryan's just. It's mostly because of, if you watch the show, I was very high on them this offseason. Not a Super Bowl contender, but I thought they were a playoff contender and were in better shape with Matt Ryan than with Carson Wentz. I didn't think Matt Ryan was going to go out there and be a Pro Bowler, but I thought he would limit the mistakes, no fumbles, under 10 interceptions, and not make the bad plays in the important parts of the game, and he would make plays when necessary, get a first down here, make the right read, make the right throw, check into the right play. And through 2 games, it's been rough. And I think it's not he's been bad, but I don't think it's solely his fault. Their team, you can see with a lackluster quarterback play that they have holes on their roster, especially on offense. They're lacking depth at wide receiver. You can see that they can't ride Jonathan Taylor to the playoffs. It's hard to do that in the NFL already, to ride the running back. As good as seasons running backs have in recent history, a lot of the times the teams they're not one of the more prolific teams. And then defense has been subpar. I wasn't mostly just disappointed in the way it's went with Matt Ryan. So that's my letdown of the week, letdown of the year so far. But maybe we'll be a little different in a couple of weeks. We'll see.
I mean, when you're right, you're right, and calls like it sees it.
Like I said, I've got my life raft in the ocean. They could swing the boat back around and save me.
Help!
So you can call Taylor Tom Hanks and me Wilson, because we're stuck on this island for a long time.
Yeah, you guys are on the island,
pointing
safe,
and laughing,
dry with food.
Yeah,
and rum.
You boarded the rickety raft with Captain Matt Ryan, and he led you astray.
That would be a good graphic to make.
Yeah, maybe. All right, RJ, letdown of the week. Who be it?
Not to be a homer, but I'm going to go with the Washington Commanders, especially the defense.
I almost chose them.
Got a little St. Brown action.
I'm in raw St. Brown. He's definitely good. We saw fire in him last year. Either way, though, his first catch was a blown coverage. Somebody was double teaming the outside receiver, and they just didn't know their assignment. Just overall, though, the play on defense has been atrocious, disgusting. Deck Del Rio is definitely getting a lot of shit, and he tried to blame Jamin Davis, who actually had a better game that week. or Kendall Fuller couldn't cover to save his life. He made some good plays in the second half. William Jackson's looking like stick a fork in him. There's run defense is almost non-existent. DeAndre Swift fell down, caught a ball, got up, scored a touchdown in the second half. We finally started to pick stuff up on offense. Yeah, defense needs some work. It looked nothing like 2020. I know Chase Young isn't back yet, but still.
Did you say that the defense was the disappointment? Not like
it's the Commanders as a whole in the first half, and then second half defense. So majority defense. Because we couldn't. Yeah, I mean, our offensive line is a little riddled of injuries, but still, I mean, Aiden Hutchinson finished the game with 3 sacks, which good on him. One of them Carson Wentz ran right into, but still, he's working our line. That's it was 3 and out all first half. Couldn't get a single. It was 22-0 going to halftime. Finally come out. Yeah, I think he scored 4 touchdowns in the second half just to lose the game. Still, because our defense couldn't make a stop.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. When I was doing some research for the episode,
everybody's got to play.
I was looking at the Commanders' defense, and I was like, these aren't great numbers right now.
Yeah, I will say Carson Wentz has played higher than expectations. He's
still holding the ball.
What does he have, like 8?
He's 7 and 3.
He's going to do that all year.
Yeah, he gave up a safety. That was his first fumble of the year.
Yeah, how many touchdowns does he have? 7?
Yeah, he's 7 and 3. Should be 7 and 2. He got 4 touchdowns.
I mean,
3 and 3.
I mean, if he does what if anyone thought he wasn't going to do what he has always done, which is hold on to the ball and take sacks and stuff like that, because he does that, and that's why you get some of those miraculous plays he makes. But if he keeps his touchdown pace and throws 35, 40 touchdowns, I mean, that's the best Wentz has ever done, and that's probably good enough to get you into the playoffs. Even if he does what he usually does.
Yeah. I agree.
Mistakes wise.
And that's why it comes down to the defense making freaking stops. Because he is scoring points. He's fine. He's been finding his rhythm. It's only been 2 games. But I still think so. If week 1, they're sitting here putting Curtis Samuel in the slot and letting him catch these short balls and make plays afterwards. Not one time did I see them even try to do any of these plays like they did in week 1. Like have him do like zigs or just quick slants or whatever. Curtis Samuel is a perfect person to alleviate the pressure off of Wentz. Give him these nice short, get him the ball, make him get the ball out quick. Design plays where he is getting the ball out quick, where he doesn't have to sit there and wait for Terry to get open down the field, or even Jahan, who's great in the red zone right now. 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you guys have.
I think we got to pick the pace up too. And one more thing, I'm just going to keep going here a little bit.
You're good.
We were about to be down by 7 points, and then Ron Rivera decides to go for 2 in the third quarter. I have no idea why. He would kick the extra point, we're down 7. He goes for 2, and then we're down 8. I don't understand why you go for 2 when you don't need to. And then he challenges I can't remember what the challenge was, but it was obviously not going to go our way. I don't know who's up in the booth watching the replay. He challenges anyway. There goes the timeout in the second half. So I don't know what Riverboat. I know we call him Riverboat Ron, but I think he was smoking crack last week.
Yeah, I mean, your run offense has been pretty mediocre, to say the least.
Week 1, AG did his thing from the line of scrimmage total, but there was a lot of passes in there. Not a lot, but there's some catches in there. Brian Robinson would be nice to have right now, but he got shot on his way back. Though he ran yesterday.
Did you guys send me that video, or I stumbled across it, where someone was like talking about the NBA versus the NFL? They're like, Brian Robinson got shot in the leg twice, 3 weeks. What? What did I just say? All right. Someone posted, and it was like, Brian Robinson got shot in the leg twice, and he's about ready to come back in a couple weeks. Ben Simmons has mysterious injuries, and he hasn't played in over a year.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, Antonio Gibson has 28 carries for 86 yards. Their next leading rusher is Curtis Samuel, and then Carson Wentz. So, I mean, hopefully once they get Brian Robinson back, they can kind of set the pace a little bit better. I mean, they've came back. They've been in a deficit both games. I think they were down against Jacksonville, correct?
Yeah, we went to the half 14-3, and then we came out in the third quarter, went down 2 touchdowns, and then won the game.
Yeah, so.
And we got to a touchdown twice against the Lions, and then our defense, because I guess they couldn't make a stop. Kendall Fuller's got to play better. He definitely made some plays, but he's getting lit up. Overall, everybody. I mean, secondary as a whole. St. Juste had a wide open interception. He dropped it. He's playing pretty good though. I'm not gonna lie. He's covering good. He's tackling good. I think he took a nice step from last year, being a mid round pick. It's plenty of time to turn around, especially when Chase Young comes back. The pressure might be able to heat up. Montez looked stale.
Allen's
banged up.
You're 1-1, and I mean Detroit's. I'm pretty sure they're the leading scoring offense in the NFL right now. They almost beat the Eagles in Week 1, 38-35. They had a comeback of their own. So
I do think Detroit is definitely better than we had anticipated going in. Not that we wrote them off completely. We had talked about in the very beginning of the podcast months ago that they were still a couple years away from competing in the playoffs on a regular basis. But I do think the atmosphere and the culture has changed enough, and they're adding talent every year, that this team will be something to fuck with here in the next couple of years.
Yeah,
even in this division now. I mean, the Vikings look like the clear front runners. And the Packers got a win last week, but the game was against the lowly Bears.
Well, moving forward, my letdown of the week.
Okay, you weren't even on camera for me for like 10 minutes there. That's why I left.
I think someone's having connectivity issues. The Tennessee Titans. I don't even want to say it's a letdown. It's just a tragedy.
And the Royals and Homer picks.
Of epic proportion. I don't even know where to begin. It's like I just want to pick a card, any card, and I can go on a topic. O-line is terrible. Derrick Henry last week had more yards after contact than he had rushing. More yards after
contact than he had rushing.
Yes.
So what do you have?
He had 35 yards after
contact and 8 yards rushing.
No, he had 35 yards after contact, and I think he had 28 yards rushing because he was breaking tackles.
So many negative plays.
He got hit behind the line of scrimmage. I think on I could be wrong, but it was 30-something% of his carries. He got tackled behind the line of scrimmage. Yeah, O-line looks bad. Trailon Burks, who they drafted to replace A.J. Brown, who's looked pretty good in my opinion, is our number 1 rated receiver, but he only plays no more than half the snaps because they say he's not ready or he needs to develop. But I'm if your best receiver is not ready, what does it say about the rest of your receivers? And then offensive coordinator Todd Downings thinks it's a bright idea to come out in a heavy formation and then go 5 wide with Tony Carter, Jeff Swain, Derrick Henry, Robert Woods, and I can't remember who the 5th guy was. Not a wide receiver. Go 5 wide with only 1 receiver. And then when we get in the red zone, bring in your 4th string wide receiver. Just terrible. And then on the defense, you guys watched the Titans-Bills game, I assume. How many times was the corner at least minimum 10 yards off, and Josh Allen just looked at Diggs, and they were running out routes for first downs because there was so much cushion. So
it's not the best strategy.
I want to hope the season can turn around, but this is one of those times where I think Vrabel's stubbornness gets the best of him. So we will see. And if it continues, I'll be addressing this again next week.
Yeah, I think it's hard to say one player can mess with a team that much, but it seems like Harold Landry had a pretty significant impact on the Titans' pass rush. And then obviously you mentioned the offensive line. I mean, if you can't get Derrick Henry going, you got some issues.
Yeah. So you made a great point. And I'm a firm believer you win in the trenches, but their O-line is so bad that Henry can't get going. He's their best offensive weapon. Their D-line has been so pathetic right now that in the Bills game, they double-teamed Simmons the entire game to where he did not register a single statistic, and no one else stepped up. So it's pretty much neutralized their best player on both sides of the ball, and then the game's over.
Yeah, because Simmons looked good week 1, too. Just like himself.
The Bills it was an auto double team every single play, no matter where he lined up. And then Bud Dupree went out, and so there's really no one else was bringing it off the edge. But anyway, I don't want to depress myself anymore. Let's go to team of the week.
But it did.
Trevor, who do you got?
Well, since we are all picking our teams for something,
Homer.
The team of the week for me is the Philadelphia Eagles.
Someone get him off the bandwagon.
No, seriously though.
Chafing over there. Sitting there
they won week 1. I know we're talking about week 2 here, but listen, I'll get there. They won week 1, high scoring game, 38-35. The offense looked like it was carrying over from the previous year with a dominating rush game. They had 4 rushing touchdowns. They had over 200 yards rushing, I believe. Jalen Hurts looked like he improved.
He's looking good.
It wasn't an amazing game in week 1, and then the defense was not good. They gave 35 points to Detroit and got ran all over. Going into week 2, they're playing the Vikings, who came off a pretty dominating performance against Green Bay. Even after being just week 1, people were talking around the league. The Vikings were looking good, playoff contender. Justin Jefferson, possibly one of the best players in the NFL. People were saying not receiver, but in the NFL. Their new offensive coach scheming up the offense to get the most out of Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, and all of them. So it was a big matchup for the Eagles, and they dominated on both sides of the ball.
I thought this game could be an early sneak peek at the NFC Championship.
Exactly. And maybe it will be. And I mean, we have their number apparently. But I mean, they're running a soft shell, weird. They were running cover 2s, 3s, 4s, whatever. And Jalen Hurts had his best game of his career, you could argue.
Jalen's second rushing touchdown?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he threw the ball accurately. I think he was like 85% completion percentage around there. And I know the receivers were open, and people have said that this week. Well, he's throwing to wide open receivers. You still got to hit the receivers and make the right reads. In week 1, he targeted A.J. Brown throughout the whole game, and that was pretty much all he did. This game, it was wheeling and dealing everybody. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins.
Still pulling out.
Quez Watkins, he had the deep ball to Quez Watkins. That was the issue last year for me.
Nice
he can throw he can throw a pretty ball.
The Quez touchdown was a great read.
Yeah.
Saw the safety, threw it right away, open space, let them do the rest.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, Jalen Hurts was making quick reads. Our rush offense was good again. Miles Sanders is continuing. He's getting a lot of touches this year so far, and he's being efficient still with his yards per carry and yards per touch. And Taylor, you highlighted Darius Slay as your MVP of the week. The defense as a whole dominated. I mean, they were playing.
Maddox had a pick too, didn't he?
Maddox had a really good play for a pick. He kind of dropped off of his man and jumped up for the pick. Bradbury I think he had a pass deflection or two. They had a couple sacks. Fletcher Cox got a sack fumble. It was kind of a funny sack. He just ran up to Kirk Cousins and smacked the ball out of his hand. But
give me that.
Jonathan Gannon was dialing up blitzes when needed to. So just overall, a good performance. And I don't even think it's their ceiling yet. I mean, they didn't score in the second half. And they still looked amazing. So that's my team of the week.
Fair enough. I've no disagreements. I mean, I knew you were going to pick them. So, RJ, team of the week, who do you got?
It's hard not to pick the Miami Dolphins.
Down 21. Are you picking them?
Yes. That's pretty obvious. Down 21, third. Tua comes back, scores 4 touchdowns in the fourth. I mean, just to win the game. It's Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill can't be touched, even by a good Ravens secondary. They could not be stopped. Mainly when the comeback started, too. I had Ravens fans at the bar saying, put in the backups. We're up 3 touchdowns. And I was like, it's not over yet. Now, I didn't really have the most confidence in the world.
Typical Ravens fans.
Yeah, I really didn't have the most confidence in the world that the Dolphins would actually make the comeback. But if you know anything about this league, you know anything really is possible. You don't stop until the fat lady sings. And it was crazy. Got to give it to the Dolphins.
Once again, I can't disagree. Made a great comeback. Broke records. Excuse me. Statement game. Now for my team of the week, put in the work. I'm going with the New York Jets.
Ooh, little Joe Flacco is.
You like picking the underdogs here, don't you?
Well, it's like Browns. The Goonies, Never Say Die or whatever. The
Goonies
Jets
Never Say Die. Yeah.
Down 13 points with 1:50 left. Joe Flacco looking like Super Bowl Joe. 26 of 44, 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. Ran the ball enough to keep the defense honest. Yeah, Garrett Wilson 8 for 102 and 2 touchdowns. Corey Davis, it was a busted coverage, but he took advantage of it. Granted, they were, they scored 2 touchdowns in the second quarter, and then they scored 17 in the fourth quarter. They couldn't really stop Nick Chubb, but Browns missed the extra point, left the window open. Joe Flacco, Corey Davis, 60 yards, get an onside kick, which rarely happens, get the ball back, and then when they get the ball back, march right down the field. Boom, 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 boom. Touchdown. Get out of there with the win. Similar to what RJ said with the Dolphins-Ravens game. It's not over till it's over. So I'm going with the Jets.
It's a fine pick. We'll see if they continue that because you jinxed Seattle.
Yeah, a lot of us wrote Joe Flacco off last week. He was like,
it's team of the week. It's not.
I know.
Whatever.
Team of the decade.
Yeah. What if Joe Flacco takes over for Zach Wilson the rest of the year, leads the Jets to the playoffs?
It'd be a great story. I wouldn't be opposed to a great story.
I've always liked Joe Flacco. Most people assume I'm a Joe Flacco hater, but I'm quite the opposite. What?
We hated on Joe Flacco so many times.
I hated on the Ravens, but I respected Flacco.
I just don't like how he gets more credit than Anquan Bolden does for that run in 2012. He swear to God, he would just throw the ball up, double coverage. Anquan Bolden's going up one arm, grabbing the ball, coming down.
Well, Joe Flacco deserves credit. I mean, he threw that touchdown pass to
Not that he doesn't
Jacoby
credit.
Jones
Bolden
in Denver.
Yeah, that was also busted coverage.
I mean, true NFL fans know that Anquan Bolden was unstoppable in that playoff run.
MVP, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was a beast that year.
Because without him, he told the receivers a chance. It's just a pit.
I think
touchdown interception ratio.
Jacoby Jones should have been Super Bowl MVP. But...
Well, he had a kick return as well in several of those games.
But anyways, to close off the episode, we're going to go into our little fantasy tidbits, whatever you want to say. So if you guys got a play you think is a smart play this week or a player you want to avoid, now's the time to voice your opinion or forever hold your peace.
I'll start with my player to avoid this week. I'm going to go with Tua. People are jumping on the bandwagon. He threw 6 touchdowns. If he's on the waivers, everybody wants to.
In most leagues.
Yeah, everybody wants to pick him up off waivers, start him right away. He's playing the Bills this week. It's a little bit of a different animal. The Bills have 12 sacks in 2 games. They have 8 quarterback hits. They have 23 quarterback hurries. They just have guys all over the field. I don't think Tua, he might come out and, play decent, but I think he's getting a lot of hype, and people are going to start maybe starting him over if they have 2 quarterbacks or what. I think for essentially, I would avoid starting him because of the hype he's getting from last week, essentially.
Fair enough.
Going up against a tough Bills defense that most likely will turn into a shootout. And the odds of Tua, I mean, if he comes out and throws 4 or 5 or 6 touchdowns again, I mean, even 3, then, I mean, I'm wrong, which I am a lot in fantasy. But just off of last week, I would avoid him this week.
Knowing you, he's going to be the highest scoring player this week.
Probably. Any advice I give on this show should be taken as the best advice, as long as you do the opposite of what I say, and then you might win your championship, your league. But yeah, that's my avoid player this week.
All right, RJ.
To avoid, or are we doing?
Or just whatever. What player you're liking, player you don't care
about?
Well,
I'm gonna stick with the train I've been on, and Jalen Waddle, even against the Bills. I still think he's going to get a shit ton of targets in 19 last week. I think no matter where he's going to get the ball, he can go. You see this thing about Tyreek Hill.
His target monster.
And the Bills secondary is a little banged up. I know in general they're probably the best team in the AFC, but there's plays to be made, and those guys will pocket the ball. Avoiding wise, I'm going to go with anybody on the Rams, minus Cooper Kupp. Because
I can't.
That battle they had with Atlanta was shocking to see. I mean, I know week 1 they kind of had it was a decent game at first against the Bills, and the Bills showed who they really are. I'm starting to shy away from the LA going back to this. Everybody's like repeat, please make it to the Super Bowl. It's not looking as good right now.
Yeah, I'm curious about Allen Robinson because he got a touchdown, but it's just
that was nice to see.
He's not getting the targets. I haven't looked into it enough to know if he's not deserving them or if he's just not vibing with Stafford, but we'll see. I honestly don't have a player I'm getting away from. Player I like this week, Miles Sanders. Playing the Commanders. We've already talked about their porous defense. And then Miles Sanders, who's been efficient this year. I think his ceiling is capped because Hurts is going to take touchdowns away, and then for whatever reason, the Eagles just decide, I think Sirianni just has a roulette wheel he spins to see who gets the goal line carries. But I like Miles Sanders this week against Washington, and then another player I like, Kirk Cousins against the Lions. While we've said the Lions are putting up tons of points on offense, they're giving up equally as many points on defense.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it. I think Kirk Cousins is throwing 3 TDs this week.
Who? What did you say you were avoiding?
No, I'm not avoiding anyone.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I like both Sanders and Kirk Cousins.
Okay. Yeah, well, Sanders is the lead.
You know who I'm avoiding. I'll tell you who I'm avoiding, who screwed me in most of my leagues. Trey Lance.
Well, yeah.
He's out for the year.
He broke his ankle.
Exactly.
And you also have Kirk Cousins as your backup.
Lucky me.
Well, it was a smart decision. I know people who drafted Dak and still got backup because they're like, well, Dak's probably going to get hurt at some point.
But yeah, it's been a weird season. A lot of ups and downs, a lot of surprises.
Still very early.
Trevor, I don't know if you saw, Najee Harris got a touchdown, so hopefully you started him this week.
As long as he's on my roster, he's starting. I ain't got nothing else.
Before we end the show for the day, any last words?
Fly, Eagles, fly. No, that's it. I'm excited.
All right.
I will say this. This is similar to our yearly predictions we did in the offseason. Things are going to look different in a couple weeks. It's still week 2. I think it usually takes 3 to 4 weeks to get a handle on teams.
Agreed.
More film, injuries are going to happen. Players and teams are going to surprise us, so we'll see.
My last parting thought, game of the week, Titans Raiders. Losers going 0-3, and the season's basically over. But I guess that does it for the show. Thanks for tuning in and listening. This is our No Interference Week 2 recap. Hopefully you know by now, but we are your hosts, Westside, Big Sass, and the Bull. If you enjoyed what you heard, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, follow us on our Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and we'll be doing this every week, and tune in on Sunday morning. Typically for the rest of the season, we are going to be having a live show prior to the 1 o'clock kickoffs, breaking down some games and give you something to tune in on while you're prepping for tailgating or whatever, in case you don't want to watch the boring, predictable, overly budgeted big time shows that are normally on television. So that does it for the show. Thanks again. Adios.
See you later.
Peace.